All right, here we go, folks.
Brown Wealth Radio.
Yes, sir.
Brown Skin
What's
Investors.
good?
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific. TGN Latinx.
I should have said to be specific.
I'm kind of glad you did it.
Yeah.
Investment bars. Let's start with the golden rule. Play with money that you can't lose. You acting like a fool.
All right,
On the
all right.
double.
That's right. Well, welcome everybody to Brown Wealth Radio.
Welcome everyone.
Welcome,
Let's,
everybody.
Let's jump right into it, folks.
go.
Let's do it.
So for this week, what are you doing differently to set your families up for financial independence?
I'm investing. You know, it was something that obviously wasn't around me before. So I started investing. I have a Roth IRA, which I'm investing for my future and hopefully for, the generations ahead of me. It'll long outlive me,
Hey, well,
That's the first one.
I guess I'll go next. I mean, we wouldn't be the brown skin investors if we're all not investing. So yeah,
Word.
I think we're all investing. But something else also that I'm doing to set my family up and my children for their future is the aspect of credit. And one thing that I'm doing is both my children are authorized users on one of my credit cards so that I could already start building their credit history, how long they've had a credit card in their name. And the goal is by the time they're 18, they have the education around credit with an 800 minimum credit score.
Bien.
Nice.
But do they have that silky voice though?
Nah.
Not yet. So I'm also investing.
Good.
I also have my girls on my credit. Shout out to that 846. But I also do something that we're going to talk the next few episodes discussing, and is I have custodial accounts for both of my daughters. So helping give them that opportunity that would, by the time they turn 18, 21, they've got a ton of compound interest.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're going to go over it in detail in episodes to come. But yeah, man, that's definitely what I'm doing.
Jumaya, hopefully it wakes up.
For me, I think, I think one of the things about taking care of your family is you got to make sure you take care of yourself first. And I think that's always been my priority, especially since my son, came around. So, how do I go about that? I definitely, for one, the only interest bearing debt that we have is what's left of my wife's loans, and those should be forgiven soon, actually. So outside of that, we try to spend less than we make. We only invest or take on debt for any like appreciating assets. So I think it's all about like making sure that our financial picture is situated. But like Jesse, we also have a custodial account set up for little boy. And, I'm proud of the fact that he's got more money at 1.5 years than I ever did until I was like probably 30.
That's what's up.
Hey.
Shout out to him.
So that's not a Tesla fridge?
It's not a Tesla fridge, but
Congrats to the new fridge, though.
You know what? It's going to drive the value up in my opinion.
That's what's up.
There
All
you
right,
go.
folks. Well, man, it's a pleasure having these conversations with you guys to see what we're all doing differently. But guys, we are 6 weeks in, and it feels good to be here on Brown Wealth Radio live on the TGN app and the Brown Skin Investor YouTube channel.
All of them?
All of them, along with TGN Latinx. So with that, I got to get better at these sound clips, but I think we deserve a little bit of that. So we are the Brown Skin Investors.
That's right.
And we're going to be picking up right where we left off last week, right? We're going to keep focusing on these pinche student loan that everybody has, right?
Fox, yeah.
This time we're going to focus on a couple of financial tools that will hopefully help offset some of this financial burden that comes with higher education. I already know Credit Chris is coming with some of them fire gems.
Fuego.
A little bit,
All right. Don't give it away. We got to slow roll it. You give it away, then they're not going to listen to the rest of us talk our stuff.
Yes, sir.
So we got a pretty good show lined up for you guys. We're going to dive deep into 529 plans. So shout out to 529s. But before we do any of that good stuff, can we let Ricks do what he does?
That's right.
I thought we were getting to the good stuff, which is our disclaimer, and that is that our content is intended to be used and must be used for educational and informational purposes only. It is very important to do your own research, aka do your homework before making any investment decisions, and they should be based on your own personal circumstances. Investing has inherent risk, and past performance does not guarantee future results. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. And I made the
nice
font
job.
bigger this time too.
We got to figure out exactly when he prints that, and we got to go in there and just like make some changes, just so he says something. You don't even realize it until he's saying it.
That'd be
We
great.
got to.
Oh man, well let's get into.
What's the 411, hon? What's the 411?
I got it going on.
Yeah.
I thought I had.
What
it
is
going
a
on, but I guess not.
411? I got a lot of 411 for you guys this week. All right.
Mhm.
So first off, hostile takeover at Twitter. You know, we've been talking about this a little bit. So for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk put an offer in to try to buy Twitter outright. I believe he's currently the largest individual shareholder.
Yes, sir.
So here's what Twitter got on the defense. So Twitter's board said on Friday it was implementing a shareholder rights plan known as a poison pill that would make it harder and more expensive for Musk or any other would-be buyer to acquire the company without the board's approval. The plan came a day after Musk made an offer to acquire all the shares in Twitter he does not own for $54.20 apiece, valuing the company at around $41 billion. That represents a 38% premium over Twitter's closing share price before Musk, the day before Musk's large ownership stake was revealed. So, how do we feel about this?
All right. So my first question is, all right. So he's got the capital, obviously, to buy Twitter. The one thing that struck me as odd when I was following up on this story was how the current board members don't own a large portion of Twitter. Is that normal, abnormal?
I wouldn't even say a large. They own hardly any. It's like 0.02%.
Right. So that's my point. Like, I get that.
That's a red flag when you're looking at the fundamental analysis, right? Finally, we're talking fundamentals again, baby.
Right? There we go.
But
I was hoping somebody was going to feed it, but yes, that's exactly
Rennie pointed that out not too long ago that when the CEO has skin in the game, what are they going to do?
Yeah, they're
going
gonna
to perform well.
They're gonna try to get
Do
that
everything
price
they
up.
can.
For the price of the stock.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some arguments as to whether or not he has like the actual cash on hand to do it. I mean, he's the richest person in the world, but obviously most of his wealth is tied up in it's not liquid, right? So there's been some discussion around that. So it kind of becomes a game of high stakes poker between Musk and Twitter's board. With this week that we're in, likely an eventful one, as we expect to formally hear from both parties on their next move in this battle for Twitter. Said is it Wedbush or Wedbush? Wedbush analyst Dan Ives. So that's kind of where it's at. They're playing poker right now, and we'll have to see what
Musk
happens.
already said he's got Plan B, and we ain't talking to Bill.
But isn't it kind of weird that he's all about free speech, but he wants to control all of it? I don't know. That seems like a red flag on its own.
If you listen to him, he's actually saying that he's trying to enable.
But is he though? Is he really?
I think he is.
I mean, I think that leads us down another very dark road when we talk about like what is freedom of speech, right? Like,
yes,
freedom of speech does not mean like reckless abandonment for.
It kind of does.
No, it doesn't. Like when you think of the way freedom of speech was designed, like that's why you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Like that's freedom of speech. But if you're putting somebody in jeopardy, you get what I'm saying? Like,
of course.
So,
that's a very gray area.
Right. So where's that line?
But Musk has a history of saying some wild shit that makes things happen.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, it's also about like the time we're in, a lot of things that maybe, Twitter and other social medias, would ban or remove from their platforms were things that were said, perfectly out in the open, maybe as little as 10 to 20 years ago. So I think, the definition of that is subjective, but, anyway, we got more to cover.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about Elon in a little
What I
bit.
will say is this, if I can make just one more point on Twitter.
Real quick.
It can't make it any worse, right? I think if you look at Twitter's chart, it's pretty much stayed flat since its IPO. Like it hasn't grown. So if you've held it since its IPO, you wasted your time for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, if anything, Elon could bring something in that aspect to grow that.
Elon got the Midas touch when it comes to businesses. Just saying.
That's a fact.
Solar City.
Well, let's talk about some competitors for Elon. So Mercedes announces the EQS SUV, the first electric SUV that they've made in the US. So I believe just yesterday, Mercedes-Benz unveiled it. It's an all-electric 7-seater that shares a platform with the automaker's recently released luxury EQS sedan. Estimated range of 373 miles. It's going to go toe-to-toe with the Tesla Model X and the BMW iX when it goes on sale in the US later this year. Mercedes isn't releasing pricing information yet, but the SUV is expected to retail for 110 to 130K, depending on the trim level. It will be the German automaker's first electric SUV to reach the US after the EQC's SUV's release, which was delayed indefinitely. What do you guys think? Mercedes electric.
I mean, it's a big pie that's coming. The EV is definitely a big pie, so everybody could get a bite.
Yeah,
but it's going to be some time before.
Yeah,
the competition is small.
Well,
can you really consider it competition?
Non-existent.
Okay.
But one thing I think of, because I'm obviously I drive a Tesla, but I think,
you don't say.
but I think it's very polarizing.
Yeah.
A lot of people just specifically don't like Tesla. There's this whole my sister-in-law was telling me how when she was driving her Tesla, like she felt like people don't like her when she's driving. I kind of feel the same way sometimes. Like I feel like people kind of have this thing for a Tesla. So there's a lot of people that I think are waiting for more electric options to come out there because they don't like Tesla for whatever reason. So from that aspect, I kind of see where a legacy automaker could make it happen. I don't think anyone has done it right, but I still think Tesla is way miles ahead.
Look
of
at the devil's
else.
Advocate over there. Don't even believe in it himself.
Yeah.
Good argument, though. Good argument.
From a personal standpoint, I can say actually driving an EV, you do kind of get hate on the road.
Yeah,
like cars drive more aggressively around you. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
It's misunderstood. It's jealousy. It's ignorance.
But it was weird. It was weird to drive it, not having driven it.
So
ride it.
Audi's latest concept car is an oversized urban EV that shouldn't be legal in cities, according to the place I got this article from, The Verge. The automaker describes the Urban Sphere as the largest model in the Sphere family and of all Audi concept cars to date. The vehicle's dimensions are certainly impressive from a clinical standpoint: 18 feet long, 6.6 feet wide, 5.8 feet high. The idea of this land yacht steering itself, it's an autonomous concept through a pedestrian and cyclist dense environment, is enough to make the most grizzled urban dweller break out in a cold sweat. Traffic, of course, is a problem that seems to be getting worse and worse thanks to the swollen SUVs and trucks that are clogging the streets in ever increasing numbers. At its core, traffic is a geometry problem. The vehicles get larger and larger while the roads stay more or less the same size. Congestion becomes unavoidable. So for me, what kind of came to mind is like, I feel like they're taking, the EV approach to almost justify making these big old like monster vehicles that have been out for like the last few years. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever I've traveled outside of the U.S., even when I'm like, not always outside of California, but outside of the U.S., I don't see these big old cars. Like you go to other ones and they're
that's all here. No. That's all born and bred right here.
Yeah, 100%.
Great old U.S. of A.
But there's some place I'm sure you see just a bunch of trucks.
Oh yeah.
Trucks.
Well, of course. Middle America, of course.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the pickup trucks and stuff like that. You see that a lot. No, internationally they drive little.
They don't need a big ass car.
No, it's all small, compact.
It's almost like half cars. I no lie. I've been to India, New Delhi, one of the most populated cities in the world, and oh my God, how that traffic is on another level.
Yeah, like in Colombia they do like motorcycles, but not like street bikes that we see here. Yeah, like mopeds are little like 250 cc's.
Yeah,
boy, they will take over the city.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about crypto a little bit. So, there was this article about how Bitcoin hodlers, hold on for dear life, targeting 100,000 is what's preventing a 40% price drawdown. So Bitcoin has yet to wow the market with its all-time highs this halving cycle, and this has contributed to a loss of faith among some investors. At the same time, on-chain indicators remain much more bullish than spot price action, and those investors still in the market support the idea that it will go far higher in the future. This is thanks to a lack of short-term holders on the market. Even the most recent all-time highs of 69,000 last November came with relatively few speculatory bets, something which contrasts strongly with the all-time high during the last halving cycle in December 2017. What is more, it is long-time holders hoping for fresh price discovery who are now supporting the market, not new short-term holders looking to buy the dip. Crypto, what do you guys think?
Well, that's just because people want to make money now and they think they missed the boat.
Yeah.
So they're not believing in the crypto long-term journey that, a lot of people who do believe in it are expecting.
I think crypto is one of those things that if you invest in it and you just forget about it, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are trying to maximize your profits, if you want to get a better price, I don't know. No one can tell the future. You can, take your best guess. But I think from that standpoint, right, like if you have some capital and you want to invest it in it and you believe in it and you just want to forget about it, I think that's what's causing it.
And you still have those people that are retail investors and they just want to jump in and have that quick flip. Like you still see that.
Right.
I think in all avenues, but I think specifically when it comes to like NFTs and cryptos, they feel like because it's such a decentralized type of, investment that they'll be able to jump in and jump up. So
I think short term, the issue is government regulation needs to do what they can to try to prevent the growth of it.
Hey.
So you have to go through those.
That kind of goes against the concept of what it's supposed to do. So we'll see. But I got one more because we got a little bit of time, not too much, but
Okay.
so in Texas, North Texas homeowners are getting sticker shock with their new property tax appraisals. So this dude Barry Hubner purchased his Oak Cliff home in 1998. At the time, his home's appraised cap value was $77,000. Last year, it was valued at $295,000. Hubner received a new Dallas County appraisal notice on Monday. It was rising an additional $30,000, meaning taxes will also rise. And it's getting to be where I'm not going to be able to stay just due to tax increases, he said. The housing market in DFW right now is absolutely on fire. We have so much demand for houses that it's causing prices to increase dramatically. There's houses last year that were $300,000 that are being appraised this year for $390,000. And so what that's doing is it's causing taxes to go up, even if you're not planning on selling your house.
Then
and
you hear those
worse
prices,
here.
but you hear those prices and you're like,
Bro, that ain't nothing.
yeah,
And they're getting significant size for that price.
yeah.
In
Oh,
And
let's
area
pause. Come on.
space.
compared
Pause.
to LA.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes,
You
pause.
definitely looking for that. So.
Yeah. Easter egg.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving. Let's
All
keep
right,
it moving.
so remember,
Yeah.
as always, with all the news,
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
with that, let's just get right into some dollars.
Let's move it.
I need a dollar, that's what I need.
Hey.
Well, I
Yes, sir.
need a dollar.
And if you're just tuning in, you are listening to Brown Wealth Radio here on TGN Latinx and the Good News Radio Network. Let's talk about the market, gentlemen. It was a red day. So, Jesse, you got to hit me with that little bit of red wine. There we go. Shout outs to that.
Shout out red
But
red
it was
wine.
barely
the
red.
S&P, the
Barely
S&P 500 went down to $4,459.45, down 0.062%. The NASDAQ went down to $13,453.06, down 166.59. But the Dow, gentlemen, went up to $35,160.79, up $249.59. I just wanted to ask you guys,
Does
because
that
you guys
still
know
require one of these though?
I guess that's some maíz.
Yeah, you just want to dance?
Maybe not
I
mas
feel like
maíz.
dancing this week, so
Maybe
it's all
not
good.
mas maíz, but it's
It's
some
barely.
maíz. Some
Barely,
maíz.
but there's more maíz in there.
And
Barely.
just for the folks at home, why does that happen? Why would that happen? That there, one of the indexes will go up and one will go down.
Okay, cool. So for one reason is that the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are both tech heavy.
Yeah.
Tech got beat up today.
Okay.
The Dow Jones isn't as tech heavy, so they were able to go up. I forget what the main driver was, but there was one.
And I think the S&P, I might be wrong on this, but I believe the S&P and the NASDAQ are market cap weighted. I think the Dow is price weighted.
Got it.
So I think that has to do with it. But yeah, I think there was other sectors that were up. The S&P is heavily tech because the biggest companies in the U.S. are tech companies, and the NASDAQ is all tech.
Yeah.
So that's why that happened.
So for those of you at home, that's a reason why you might see some of the index go up, some go down.
Yeah.
So
And I
first
think
time it's happened for us, but
we're
you know,
gonna
it's
talk
just kinda
about a
interesting.
company today that helped drive some of this
Oh,
damn
yeah.
numbers so damn
Oh, yeah.
low today. So,
I put my
So,
hand
yeah.
up on my dip.
So let's keep it
when I
moving.
dip, you dip, we dip.
yeah, but I think
The
what's
Netflix
more
dance.
appropriate would be this one.
Man. Well, it was for this company. Nada estaba bien.
Yeah,
And
I think
it used to be all good just a week ago.
they're heading towards zero instead of getting away from zero.
Yeah, so Netflix.
Wow.
Yesterday they closed at 348. It was slightly up actually yesterday, and then after hours it went down to 250 yesterday, and I believe it ended up as low as like 215 today or something like that. I don't know what it closed at.
Yeah.
Netflix's all-time high is actually 700, and it just hit 700 a few months ago. When I give you like the EPS and revenue,
226.19, just so you know, 226.19.
there you go. The EPS and the revenue like don't sound so bad because their EPS, they were actually more profitable than what was expected. They came in at 353 versus 290, and revenue they actually missed by less than 1%. So it almost sounds like an overreaction, but let me start sharing some of the information in regards to why it probably dropped so dramatically. So basically, for the first time in a decade, they lost subscribers. They were expected to add less, but they weren't expected to lose, and they lost 200,000 of them. Mm-hmm. When they shared their reasons, they talked about, COVID pulled forward some of the growth. They didn't. I don't believe they said it, but there was a lot of speculation that there's a lot of competition, which I think we can all probably validate. Yeah. They blamed password sharing. They said that they're going to try to go after sharing passwords.
Please.
So be careful, guys.
Please.
Be careful. tell your exes to make sure they turn off those Netflixes because
Rick, can you
they're
get
known
off
for that.
Randy's password?
Nah,
Rick,
nah.
can you get off Randy's
We're
password?
friends forever. Me and him are friends forever.
They do have a little bit of debt. They owe 14.6 billion with cash on hand equivalents of 8. And they got downgraded like crazy. Wedbush took them to 280 from 342. Moffett Nathanson took them to 245 from 350. Piper Sandler 293 from 562. Pivotal Research 235 from 550. Barclays 275 from 380. Not even done yet. Bank of America 300 from 605. BMO Capital 405 from 640. And Credit Suisse to 350 from 450. And it's already lower than that. So, for me, I think that what throws me off the most is that I don't think they really made a great case in terms of saying why their subscription growth dropped. It felt like they were just pointing the finger at whatever they could come up with. What did you guys
There's
think?
various reasons, like just looking at it from as a consumer. I'm just looking at it from consumer. I'm not looking at it from the business. They invested a lot of money in a lot of shows. They spend a lot of money on all the programming that they have. Now the competition, like Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, you got your Hulus, you got all these
HBO Max, shout out to Winning Time.
Yeah, Winning Time.
Paramount.
You have all of
one.
these different networks that now have shows that people are going to go watch. So when you're spending that much on programming, you're going to lose money.
It's not only spending money on programming. Sometimes you get you feel yourself a little too much.
Yeah.
And I think that happened with Netflix where, you know what? I'm not going to get those shows, those great shows that other people have and bring them to us. We're just going to keep making Netflix originals because our shit pops.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There were some that did. But if you search through Netflix now, there's a lot of stuff you don't even know about.
One
skip.
thing that's crazy too is that Bill Ackman, we posted about him a couple months ago. He bought $1 billion worth of Netflix stock a couple months ago. He was actually up like 20% just a couple of days later. And he sold all his shares today. I forgot the name of his hedge fund, but they sold everything today at like a 33% loss from what he bought at.
Wow.
That's crazy. So if Bill Ackman, who had basically kind of resurrected them for a little bit, got rid of it, it's got to make you question it. But I guess my question to you guys is, so what do you guys think? Are you guys buying the dip, or is it riding back to the top, or is it done?
I don't think it's done. I think that, when you think about what they had shared before about getting into like the video game arena, if they make that pop, like that's still a possibility. I think one of the things that stood out to me is as you were reading through the downgrades, all the downgrades are still higher than what the current stock price is. So is it an overreaction? Well, then maybe, because if these analysts are still saying what they downgraded them to is still way above what it's currently at, there's still some room for growth. Now, long term, maybe it's not the wave anymore, but it could be a potential trade.
It is an overreaction to an extent. It's also been brought back to reality to an extent, because for it to be 700, it's not like Apple, where it's like streaming is only Netflix. Like, let's Netflix. No. The competition's coming.
I wouldn't. I don't think I would long term invest Netflix, but I would trade it. So whenever there's like a big fall off like this from earnings, I like to use the 3-day rule. So I wait 3 days to buy.
Okay.
And I think, you got to think about it like you want to wait for the stench to go away from the murder scene before you approach it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit of a overreaction short term. I don't know what its prospects are for the long term, but I think there'll be enough people in to, want to buy the dip. So once it settles down, I think I probably would enter it for a trade, but I'd sell it once I'm up. I don't think I'd hold it for the long term.
And that seems really similar to a strategy that you've talked about in our Brown Wealth Matters webinar course, where you talk about not trying to get the very, very bottom, because that's not always the best way to go.
Sometimes you got to wait for it to turn. So check this out.
Before we keep going on from Netflix, I wanted to mention what about like India, right? I saw an article recently about them. Like they had a hard time. They were struggling to get into the India market, it being like the most populous country, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bollywood is the second biggest movie industry behind Hollywood.
Would you potentially see a connection between like Bollywood going into Netflix?
Well, the issue
they
there
have
is
their own version.
I'm not aware of a version they have. I think it's the lack of technology in India to the masses, to be able to stream and have that like quality of service to be watching it.
Got it.
There's definitely a lot of Indian content in there, but I think that's because there's a lot of countries, including not just America, but a lot of countries that watch Bollywood movies.
Well, so Michael Burry from The Big Short. He's a guy who made a ton of money in the mortgage crisis in the 2000s. He tweeted yesterday and he said, competition is coming for Tesla, just like it came for Netflix. So let's go ahead and switch it over to Tesla, who reported this afternoon. They were the first automaker to report financial results for Q1. They actually reported almost $19 billion worth of revenue against an estimate of almost 18. That's up from 10.4 billion a year ago. That means it's up 80%. They were way more profitable than expected, 322 earnings per share versus 227 estimate. Yep. They shared that they're likely to make 1.5 million cars in 2022. And they produced 930,000 in 2021. They closed at 977 today. They were down 5% on the day, but after hours, they ended up at 1,031.60. So they were up 5.5, and it was actually up as high as 1,047. With the results, Elon Musk earns the right to purchase 25.2 million shares at $70 each. That's about $176 million worth.
Nice.
And if you take it at what it closed at today after hours, that's actually worth $2.6 billion. By the way, Elon Musk also had some commentary on Netflix. He said that the woke mind virus was making Netflix unwatchable. It should be okay to be humorous, but wokeness basically wants to make comedy illegal, which is not cool. All right, again, Tesla, what do we think? Elon, what do we think?
It's crazy because I didn't know too much about Tesla. So I tried to do some research. I tried to learn a little bit from it. And just to see that their earnings per share didn't start to create a profit until 2020. Like, to me, that was mind boggling, but it makes sense because they probably used a lot of money for
they reinvested it
for
into
everything like that. Yeah.
So are we buying the rip? Are we waiting for it to settle down? Are we just holding for the long term?
I'm holding for the long term, 100. I mean, competition is coming. Just as much as the asteroid is coming to hit Earth from wherever that's coming. Like, of course, everyone's trying to make EV cars, but
I'm definitely going to wait for a pullback. I think that it'll get really hot. I think the rip will get sold. I think it'll go back down. And short term, not short term, long term, I actually think there's a better ROI on Lucid. Shout out to Lucid.
Well,
all right.
Don't go away just yet. We'll be coming back very, very soon, everybody.
Term, not short term, long term, I actually think there's a better ROI on Lucid. Shout out to Lucid.
Well,
all right.
Don't go away just yet. We'll be coming back very.
Oh my God. Do you really know? Do you really know who you are, what you want, how to get it? Or are you just living to exist with drama-filled relationships, bored, unfulfilled desires, and now lack has become your hashtag? The difference between a spectacular life or an ordinary one is merely 15 minutes of discovery. Choose to live a fulfilled life narrated and created by your design. Book a 15-minute free consultation with Coach Zena, transformational practitioner specializing in human design and life coaching. Learn what awaits you. Go to CoachZena.com or on Instagram at coach.askzena.
Get your boogie on. Nah, just kidding with y'all. What's going on, man? It's Devontae Green having some fun. We're going to have fun at our show because that's what we do. TGN Talk, 7:30 p.m. Monday, live from the den. Tap in.
Yo, Jerry, what you sipping on?
You already know, Mike. It's Michelada time. Flavorful, handcrafted Michi mix to top off with your favorite cerveza. It will have you saying, wow, baby, at every drink. Michelada time is freshly made in small batches, bringing you the perfect Michelada every time.
The streets are talking, Jerry. That Michelada time is liquid gold. Where can I find it?
Check out our website at www.micheladatimemix.com. That is MICHELADA timemix.com. Follow us on Instagram at Michelada_time for news, products, pop-ups, and store locations.
Say less. I'm on it.
Yo, what's up? This is Rix.
Yo, this is Rennie.
What up? Dover in the building.
What's good, family? This is Jesse, and this is
Brown Wealth Radio. And make sure to catch us on TGN Latinx every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific. To be specific.
Are you looking to buy a home? Are you looking to sell your home? If your answer is yes, call the Walker Group at 310-421-6464. With over 18 years experience, the Walker Group has serviced clients throughout Southern California with their real estate needs. Let us be of service to you as well. Once again, call the Walker Group at 310-421-6464 or visit our website at www.exprealty.com. Once again, that's www.exprealty.com.
Wozy, it's Deshaun Showtime Watkins, and you can tune in to Compton Mania Monday nights, 9 o'clock on TGN. Wozy,
only on TGN Sports.
What's up? It's your girl Kirsten and Moni, and we are Never Not Extra. Be sure to check us out every Tuesday live at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on the Good News Radio app. And if you didn't know, now you know.
Hooty-hoo! Are you looking for a DJ for your next private party, wedding, club, corporate event, tour, or even bar mitzvah? DJ Dash is the guy that can get it done. With 10 years plus experience in both audio and video DJing, I can cater to literally any crowd for any occasion. Call or text me now at area code 323-854-2013. Once again, that's 323-854-2013. And don't.
All right, welcome back. We are Brown Wealth Radio here on TGN Latinx on the Good News Radio Network. It's your boy Ricks again with my partners Jesse, Dogra, and Rennie. Before the commercial, we just covered in Mercado the big news on Tesla and Netflix, and we got some more of the good on the way. Remember, you can follow us at the Brown Skin Investors, where we post some gems, learning how to do reels now, some financial literacy announcements, and you can find in the link in the bio to purchase our stock market webinar. You got to get that good stuff. The Brown Wealth Matters merch. We got some new one on the way right now. And if you're building a business for your own and you want to get your name out, hit us up on our DM and we got you. Advertise your business and your ventures with us and all of the Good News Network while prices are still low. Because as we all know, what about prices?
Well, before we jump right into that,
say the chat is kind of lit.
Yeah,
you know?
our apologies, but yeah, the chat got a little lit.
Segue, but let's go to the chat. Let's hit up the chat.
Wait, I
was trying to do
I
this.
wasn't looking at
So
you.
shout out to Luis checking in on the chat, talking about SUVs.
Yeah, in Mexico for sure.
In Mexico.
And CED Connects. Again, thank you so much for the follows and the comments and everything like that. And there was a point that he made about the subscription price on Netflix going up. That's possibly something that had us that we share. You know, I mean, those that have our own Netflix account. You know, we want to
you don't know about that, Rich. Rich don't pay.
Usually when Netflix announced their last price increase, their stock shot up. I remember because I had an option on it.
There you go.
So it was a great day.
Yeah.
So typically the market reacts well to price increases because it means there's more top line revenue. But as far as like its overall case, it could definitely weigh in on it because it could also mean that they're trying to kind of cover the slowing subscription growth by adding more prices into it. So
scroll down.
I mean, yesterday's price is not today's price, right?
And shout outs to Renee Sanchez for the comment. Oh, baby.
I'm just interacting, bro.
Yeah, so it's good to have that interaction. Those of you that are tuned into YouTube, thank you very
We
much.
appreciate you guys.
Shout out to Draga Beats for also on the check-in.
Always shout outs to Draga Beats for all the love. Okay, so again, we're talking about prices.
There you go.
Yeah. What happens to today's price?
Is not today's price.
There you go.
Well, not all the time.
That was smooth.
Maybe not in this case.
That's what we call in the business a segue.
It's not today's price.
So what you got for us today, Chris?
Well, this day it's a little different. You know, today is 420, so shout out to the cannabis users. But what's inflation to cannabis?
That's a great question.
You know, I
do
mean,
not know.
Inflation has hit.
Inflation of the spirit.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. The expert over here, you know.
I've heard.
But let's be real. You know, prices going up on everything. I mean, even corn's going up. You know what I mean? So you would assume cannabis be going up too, but it's actually not. Believe it or not, you know. So while most Americans have seen prices climb across most of their regular expenses, the cost of cannabis doesn't appear to be increasing at the similar clip. And in some instances, a bag of edibles or an eighth of an ounce of flour might even be cheaper today than this time last year. Prices of marijuana flower, edibles, and vape products, when averaged by price per gram of THC, declined by 16.7%, 11.8%, and 12.4%, respectively, from January 21 to January 2022. So, with that being said, why do you think that's the case?
I'm guessing it has to do with, you know, mass production, it being legal.
Yeah, decriminalization.
I mean, that would be my guess. I mean, I'm guessing they're just taking on more scale. I don't really know the answer, though.
Yeah. I would have assumed that
it would go
the
up
price
too.
would have gone up as well. I mean, when you think of, I would assume that the rent at the dispensary would be increasing.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how long your lease was, but I mean, I'm just talking semantics now. Yeah.
I mean, exactly.
But if you're selling in bulk, also, you know, just thinking about it, with it being legal, it being a lot more accessible out to people, you know, there's now competition for prices. Like now they actually
that's a good point.
But the price of production, I'm sure, has gone up.
Yeah, has it?
The manual labor to do it, yeah. I mean, you need ingredients.
Yeah.
You need
chemicals,
manufacturing things.
You mean it's not just like a seed, sun, and voila?
I mean,
if you know,
sure, but I don't
our
think
peeps at CED Connects just said, yeah, it's mass production.
See, hey,
I
might have a relative in the industry.
to say that it might be because of a lot of non-authorized growth that's going on.
That's
okay.
That too. Okay.
Okay.
Well, look,
You
he actually
know.
says they're taking a killing right now.
The black
Yeah.
market of it is definitely very lucrative right now because a lot of people have said, forget the 9 to 5.
Well, I mean,
I'm
all
gonna go
thought-
make way
Well,
another way.
From what I remember reading, like that, a lot of that has to do with like the taxes that are baked into the prices. No, like the
baked.
when
I see
you're
what you did there.
right,
Half
so
baked or fully baked?
I would assume fully baked at this point,
man.
right? When you
All right.
think of if you're buying something from your local
Dispensary.
dispensary versus your local black market, I would assume it's going to be cheaper because you're not paying for the taxes that you would be at the
Well,
legal
I don't
spot.
think this is considering the black market purchases. I'm assuming the black market selling to the businesses.
Yeah.
Is what's helping it out. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, well, here we go. CD Connects has
Yeah,
the
we have-
cannabis
yeah.
show. So
So go ahead and check out
We
his
gotta
show
we
as
gotta
well
check that
because
out,
he's got some good
absolutely.
information
But,
on that.
but I mean, let's be real. Like the whole thing of inflation is that your dollar doesn't get you the same that it used to get you.
right.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
Good point. So either
So
way, it'd be the
weed
same.
is,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
right.
the
So
marijuana
we
is the
got
marijuana.
cannabis and we got Arizona cans that are still the same price. So shout out to them.
Yes.
So what's the
For
miracle
that- for
behind
that.
Arizona staying at
It's
99
all
cents?
sugar water. The kids love it. You can't price out the kids. 'cause
Hey,
the kids are gonna buy it.
shout out the CEO of the Arizona. I forgot the company's exact name, but
I think
He
it's
said he's
Arizona.
never going to change.
he said he's
it.
never going to change
Yeah.
it. The reason being is that the American consumer has already felt it so much in so many other ways that how
That's
could
what
they
I'm
do that
talking
as
about.
well?
Now,
And
will they water
another
it down? Maybe they'll water it down more.
Maybe, but also the Costco hot dog still $1.50.
Yes,
And-
I read a story about.
Yeah, we read that story.
we
Yeah.
did, right?
So they're not
On here,
raising.
we
the
read the
price.
story here.
No, not here in the chat. We read it. We
Yeah.
were
Oh,
talking
okay,
on the side. But they're not raising the price. And what's crazy is they're sticking to their guns from a comment from the CEO in the 90s when they tried to raise the price in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the CEO looked at the employee that was trying to pitch him the reason why and said, God damn it, we're not going to raise the price of hot dogs. And they're sticking to their guns.
There
Shout out
you go.
Costco.
Shout
Good
out
news
to
for you, Rennie. I
Costco.
got you, my boy.
At Costco, they take some of this, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cash rules everything around me. Nope. Credit rules everything around
Ready.
me. Cream. So, something we want to talk about today. Question I got asked by one of our followers. So, how many credit cards should a person have? And to be honest, there really isn't a black and white answer to that.
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
Bricks, how many credit cards do you have?
I'm at 5 now that I did the full count. I got 5
5.
credit cards.
5. Is that? Let's see the chat. Do you guys think that's a lot in the chat? Let
Is
us
it
know.
a lot?
How many you got, Jesse?
I'm at 6.
Ooh,
There you go.
he just had a one up you, bro. He only said 6 to one up
It,
you.
it almost seemed like you planned that
I don't
line
know.
of questioning, Chris.
I don't know. Rennie, how many credit cards do you
I
have,
don't
bro?
I don't have all of mine with me, but 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 8 here.
He
I
needed
thought
all
I-
of them to buy the Tesla.
Actually, I needed none of them. Oh,
There
here's
you go.
9. Here's 9. I actually probably have another 5. I thought I had 11, but I have at least 5, maybe 6 more
Yeah.
at home
Okay.
for sure.
So
So, I
like
have probably
13,
14,
14?
15. Yeah.
Okay.
I myself also have about 14, 15.
Oh,
credit cards.
There you go.
I must
Okay.
be doing
Definitely.
something right.
Yeah.
Yes. I've definitely shared some game to Rennie, and he's taken full advantage of it. I think even past me, even Jesse over here with his credit score. But basically, to get back to it, there really isn't a specific number. It just depends on the person and how you can manage them and what you're going to utilize them for. So the average American holds about 3.84 cards. That figures down about 4% from 2019, and it follows a pattern U.S. consumers shedding credit card debt as the coronavirus, impacts us. And I kind of argue the other way. I feel like we should get more credit cards just in the event that things do go bad for you. Because again, you have money in the bank, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you have savings, 6 months, whatever that may be. If you use all that because of harsh circumstances, what are you going to do? Right? But God forbid something happen where you lose your job, you lose your reserves, your savings. If you have, Rennie has 14 credit cards. I mean, how much debt to credit ratio would he have with those 14? Quite a bit. I'm not going to put his information out there, but say he had 100K in credit, let's say. Well, that's $100,000. He could continue to survive, to feed his family, to figure out life until he gets back on his feet.
I know, big deal, but it's a little more than 100,000.
You know what I mean?
No, but our girl Jax is asking, how many of them do we actively use?
I actually use all of them. So I like to, when I look at the cash back. So depending on what I'm using my bonus category for the things that I'm spending the most on. So one card, that's my grocery card.
Yeah.
I get 4 to 5% back. I think they do a cash back match at the end of the year. I got another one for gas where it's like my Bank of America. I get 75% bonus on top of the cash rewards that they give me. So it all just depends on what we're using it for. Some of them, for example, you could throw like your Netflix subscription on there. You could throw your, all those different subscriptions on. So it's just
you know when you guys get your new credit card and it has all that paperwork in there that you just rip up and throw away? Try reading it.
Very much so.
There's so many advantages to various credit cards that you're not aware of. And like Rennie said, what Rennie and I do is it's a credit card for each thing. Whatever's going to give me the most cash back on gas, that's my gas card. Whatever's going to help me travel, I'm going to have a card with a certain airline that I fly with. A card for hotels. Shout out the World of Hyatt card, but I get to stay at an all-inclusive hotel, paid 100%, 3-4 days for free.
That's right. Year. Shout out Marriott.
Just for owning the card.
For owning the card and using and spending money with that card. You get what I mean?
And one thing also, I mean, I don't know if this works for everybody, but I do like sometimes taking on a new card just to get that like $500 if I spend $1,500 and then I spend that like right away and I get $500. I just got a $500 discount on whatever I just bought.
And because there's so many credit cards in the credit card game.
I'm sorry, I got to give a shout out to Big Poppy in the chat with the humble brag for
humble
friend. Humble
and
brag.
Putting my business out on the streets.
Yeah, I know. Right?
I'm not getting the credit card points, but I'm getting the experience of great programming.
I'm getting the credit card points.
Speaking of credit card points, which we'll get to on future episodes, is when there's so many credit cards, so much competition within credit cards, everybody wants you to be one of their consumers. So they offer benefits and rewards when you first sign up. Bonuses. You spend X amount of money, $3,000 in the first 3 months, you get 50,000 frequent flyer miles. I flew to Maui, Hawaii 4 years ago with wifey for free on the card, round trip. It was a great trip. You know what I mean? Yeah. And people don't think about that. People don't understand that. And to Rennie's point, if you have 15 credit cards, how are you going to use all of them, right? Well, put a subscription on each one.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what?
All you got to do,
you got to do is put auto pay. If you use it with one transaction each time, they're not going to close your card. They may threaten to lower the balance per se. You get that letter, use it for a little bit so they get off your back and then go back to your routine.
So Jesse, just real quick, I think we're going to have to retitle this episode and just start calling it Humble Brag because we've gotten some good ones throughout today. Flying for free, the 846 credit
One
score.
last thing, because I know we got an important topic to touch on, but one other thing I'll say is what I like doing with my cash back is I just put it in the baby's brokerage account.
That's dope.
Nice.
It just sometimes, and like for example, on our card, like we've never even touched the cash. Like the cash rewards are just sitting there. Yeah. We're just letting it pile up. And I had done that in the past, but for me, it was like, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead and invest it in his account? It's money that I'm not really counting on. It's a bonus. In some other situations, you might do it differently. Like if you're just doing like the $500 cashback, bonus that you get at the beginning. But like my monthly cashback, that's what we do. We invest it.
And the last thing I'd say is, we talk about credit score, right? And building that debt to credit ratio. Well, Rennie and I have 15 plus credits. I'm no disrespect to you guys, but I'm pretty sure we have more credit limits amongst those 15 than you guys have in the 5 or 6.
I might challenge that.
I
got some pretty big.
I have a couple pretty good ones too, but I'm gonna guess that the sheer amount
you're
you
not.
guys have, which
you're not.
You're not. Well, somebody was helping me get
I might
more
be
credit
willing to put
cards
my
and
6 against you.
We're gonna have to bring the receipts. Maybe bring the receipts next week.
Thanks for joining us today on Humble Brag.
Quiero contarle, mi hermano, un pedacito de la historia negra, de la historia nuestra, caballero. Y dice así.
Yep.
Dice. All right, folks. Well, here we are talking about our Brown Wealth Matters focus, and we said we were going to stick to student don't let student debt? Loan. That's
There you
Jesus.
go.
I can't
There
say
you
it. There we
go.
go.
Student don't let.
Yeah, student don't let them get loans,
There you
please.
go.
You see where my mind was going. But really, we wanted to shine some light on a financial tool that's made available to everybody that maybe a lot of people don't know about. And this is the 529 plans, or the qualified tuition plans, as they're called. So every state offers a 529 plan and at least one version of those 529 plans. Now, these are sponsored either by the state, so like your state-run universities, your state-run colleges, private universities as well, private colleges, or agencies of that state, right? Now, there's two different kinds of 529 plans, right? So first is prepaid tuition. So think about buying credits and paying fees and all this sort of stuff for the university or the college of your choice in today's price. And we talked about,
what about yesterday's
That's today's price. It's not today's
it's not,
price.
It's not today's,
in
right?
20 years.
Because in 20, right, the last 20 years, we said it went up 179% for tuition or some.
I don't know. Rennie questioned the
Yeah,
math
he-
on
he
that
didn't
one.
like
So
the
let's
math
just
on the
say
article.
172%.
No, let's just say 100%.
Like,
for
let's
math
say it
purposes,
doubled, right?
Yeah.
Chances are it's going to at least double again
Humble bragging coming at you.
in the next 20 years, right? So you can pay. So, you guys went to UCLA,
Shout out
prestigious
Bruins.
school. A lot of, maybe you want your kids to go to UCLA.
To the
You
best school in the
prepay.
country?
Oh, I wouldn't
The
go
best
that
school in
far.
the country.
But you would prepay those, right?
Yeah.
Now, you cannot use that prepaid credit for room and board. So there is a drawback to that. Again, these are state sponsored, so they're not backed by the federal government, right?
Okay.
It could be if this school goes defunct, there's the chance of you losing your money.
You holding
right.
that bag.
With any investment, there's always the possibility of holding that bag. Let's make that very clear. Not all states guarantee it, but some of them might protect like your principal funds, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say you've got 11 years of paying into this and it was accruing credit. Sorry, you were getting interest.
Yeah.
But now they can't afford to pay that. At the very least, they're going to return your
You put
principal.
10K in,
Yeah.
you
You're
make
gonna get
10K on
10K
top.
back.
They'll
Yeah.
at least give you the 10K instead
Right.
of the 12.
In some cases,
Okay.
not always guaranteed. Now, what if your kid says, Chris, I'm not going to UCLA, bro. I want to go to USC.
We all good because we got a custodial over here.
Right. But let's say they go to a school that's not covered in this prepaid tuition
Okay.
plan, it'll still pay. But it's like your health insurance, right? You know how you go to your preferred doctor
Man.
and the insurance pays for everything if
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Yeah.
But if you go out of network, like you're just shit out of luck, you got to pay it all.
You don't get a dollar for dollar.
Right. So it's the same concept with this prepaid tuition. You'll still get some credits, but maybe not the full amount.
Yeah.
Now, what I like about this 529 plan is the education savings plan portion of it. So it's like you investing for your kid's future. Think about it as a 401k for your kid to go to college.
Yeah.
Similar concept. They're target date funds. So they become more aggressive at the start, less aggressive as they get closer to enrollment, which would typically be that like 17, 18-year-old time frame, right?
Yeah.
Now you pick typically mutual, again, very 401k like, right? Like you can't, with this 529 plan, you can't go in and say, I want all my money to go to Apple, all my money to go to Microsoft. You have to pick these programs, so to speak, ETFs, mutual funds, things of that nature. Now, again, for this one, if you're on a shorter time horizon, so let's say your kid's 10 years old, you're only going to have 8 years of compound interest, right? Like you've got to weigh your pros and cons. But there's a better chance of doing it there because at least in California, that money grows tax-free. And as long as you use it for educational expenses, you're covered. So the most important part with this 529 plan is like, so what are the advantages, right? It varies by state. Every state offers this 529 plan. Now, let's say we're in California, right? I'm from New York. Maybe my kid decides, hey, I want to go to NYU and because you're from New York, I want to go to college in New York. Yeah. Great. I can use the 529 plan from California in New York.
Which is a California rule, right?
Right. So that's pretty cool, right? But the difference here, if I open one in California, I don't get a tax break. I can't write off the deductions. But if somebody in New York, let's say my brother wants to open an account for my daughter, he's able to write off at least $5,000
A year.
A year.
That's dope.
That's pretty cool, right? So depending on your state, there's different pros and
So
cons.
it can
to that.
be completely tax-free?
Completely
because
tax-free.
he's contributing it to it tax-free, and then it would be used
tax-free if
That's
it's used for
amazing.
educational purposes. So
I mean, let's be real. I applaud any effort to set your kids up in terms of educational future, to avoid that predatory student loans we talked about.
Yeah.
529 is definitely a great example of doing it. Definitely there are other ways.
I got some more info for you though. Before you give me
Hit us
those
some more, 'cause
other,
I just want to applaud that. I want to applaud it like on the back end. But go ahead.
like
ahead.
that.
No, I just want, just give the perspective from how I'm seeing it.
Right. So now when you think about like these qualified educational expenses, you think tuition, you think room and board,
books,
but it also covers rent off campus. So if
Okay.
you get like you guys had your own
Man,
apartment
the
off
palace
campus,
would have been,
the palace
the palace would have been
paid.
subsidized. Imagine the parties we could have had.
There you go. Right.
Holy.
So you got that.
Instead, they were subsidized by loans.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where my
Or
student
selling
loans.
Apple.
We still
Right,
had,
selling Apple.
we
It
still
covers-
had those parties.
Focus. It also covers the electronics. So your computers, your anything that you need electronics for school, the software that you need. Let's say your kid wants to be a music artist and a regular artist. All these fancy programs are covered
Okay.
with that. So a lot of stuff that goes into it. Now here's the cool part. It falls into the same category as like the gift tax, right? So it's $16,000 is the limit for 2022, but it's $16,000 for the person giving the money, not the person receiving the money. So let's say you happen to be from a little bit more of a more affluent family. Dad wants to give 16K, mom gives 16K, uncle gives 16K, aunt gives 16K, grandma gives 16K, grandpa gives 16K per year. Right?
Wow.
That's pretty impressive now when you're thinking about the way education costs are rising. Now, in California, for example, you have an aggregate cap, which means you can't go above this number for contributions. Guess what the number is?
You told me earlier, so I can't say.
529.
Yes, almost. It's $520,000.
Why
They
did you
could've
round
just
up and
make
say
it 529.
All
Yeah,
right.
right.
But it varies by state.
It'll get there.
Missouri,
Yeah, exactly.
Missouri of all places is the highest at 550,000.
Wow.
Right. So now let's say for some godly reason you reach that cap of 550 in California. Ain't nothing stopping you from opening that 529 in Texas, in New York, in Alabama, in Rhode Island.
Okay.
So you can just continue to open up 529s for your beneficiaries.
Okay.
Now let's just say for S&Gs that your kid decides to say, I'm not going to college. I want to be an HVAC technician, a mechanic, a vocational trade.
Yeah.
They can use this 529 money to pay for that education.
That's what's up. That's awesome.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but after they've paid for their education, if there's still money left in that 529 account, you can assign that to another dependent,
Correct.
somebody else who
So
another
now
child,
they can, now
a
you can pass
relative.
that 529
Another family
to
member.
another family member or
Yeah.
to that. Who knows at what age they started having babies, but you
Yeah.
pass that down to your sibling.
The next generation.
The next generation, they keep passing it down.
That's awesome.
That's pretty dope.
And this is commonly used by the very wealthy to transfer generational wealth tax-free.
Yeah.
And the awesome part, since we were talking about student loan debts, one of the new parts of legislation is that now you can use up to $10,000 from these 529 plans to repay qualified student loans of the beneficiary, and another 10K for the beneficiary's sibling. So now you can help your brother, your sister get out of that student loan debt by up to $10,000. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And just real quick, raise your hand if you knew about this when you were in college.
What?
So like, I think it just goes to show what we're trying to do here. And the overall thing, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to help each other understand the things that we didn't know before.
Exactly.
The type of things that when we were telling our students, they in their minds, they're like, what do you mean? I thought I was just gonna have to do the FAFSA forever, get loans. So having this type of knowledge that we're sharing and putting out, to the masses for our generations it's big.
Yeah, and one thing I'd add too is that obviously if you're watching and you have kids that are a little older, I mean, do what you can, right, to play offense. But if you have a really young one at home or one that's on the way, just don't forget that time is your biggest ally. So whether it's a 529 account, whether it's whatever it might be, right? The earlier you invest, the more time you give it, the more that plays to your favor when your child decides to go to college or decides to become an HVAC technician. So just don't forget about the value of time is what I would say. Compound
Definitely.
interest.
Definitely. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great that this is out there. And I recommend people that are in the right situation take advantage of this. But there's other ways of doing it too.
We're gonna cover them. This week the focus was 529.
But wait, there's more.
Yes. So, for those of you that are looking at this, excited about it, maybe not fully sold, there are other opportunities or other ways to go about this. UGMAs.
Yep, those we'll cover in the next 2 weeks. But I would say go to ScholarShare. What's the website again? I believe it's ScholarShare 529
for all the comments and the YouTube. But go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, it's ScholarShare529.com for the California 529 plans.
Definitely.
Yeah,
read up on it.
And
Do
it's
your
all,
research.
most of the info on this website is all videos. You don't want to read on it's all videos. Click on the link. It's some lady. She breaks it down for you. It's very easy to follow.
AKA do your homework.
Yeah. And I think, and again, just remember if you went through college or if you owe student loans today, just think how different your experience could have been if, money wasn't something you have to worry about, or it's not something you have to worry about after you graduate.
Yep. Because if money ain't a thing, money ain't a thing.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to go ahead and skip bars again. I had some fire ready, but we are coming to the end of episode 6 of Brown Wealth Radio titled Ring. So go and get yours because like the bars I was going to talk about, I'm going to give them a little bit of that Busta. And because I used to be asked out, but now your boy holding several money accounts. We dangerous. So dangerous. This Brown Wealth Radio getting dangerous. So from all of us here, not at home because we're not at home right now. All of us here, to all of you at home on YouTube, on the radio app, thank you so much. We can't wait to see you guys next week. And who knows, we might have some more humble brags on the way. So keep it locked in, right?
Yeah.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, y'all.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for joining.
El YouTube. SL, son.
This that fine wine.
Check it. The whole scene in hysteria. Flipping on the track. I'm burning up the area. Wonder how the hell your boy.
Shout it out to everybody on YouTube.
What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate the comments.
Big Poppy.
Are we ever gonna get? Should we do bars on the YouTube next time? Maybe.
Dude, appreciate you.
We just do bars. How much time we got? We do bars right here.
Yeah, we can do bars now for YouTube. We might make this.
I'm gonna give the exclusive bars right here.
Yeah, because I'm not done talking.
I gotta give some love to Busta Rhymes because my jam, one of my jams is Dangerous, and he says, "Book wow to all my hitters who don't care, floss like bunch of young black millionaires, make you run, me and my done, stacking my ones, floss a little, invest up in a mutual fund."
Yo, man, I heard him rhyme twice this week. I haven't heard him rhyme twice in like a year.
He stood up for the random people he didn't know in Punta Cana. You can't stand up for us and do it.
Wait, what do you mean random people?
There was a bunch of random. You didn't know those people?
Oh, I didn't, but it was a birthday gift to my wife.
Oh, come on. What about our fans?
Yo, Monica,
man?
can you come through, please? So that
Monica's watching. Do it for wifey.
For your next birthday, you come through so we could hear him rap too. Because
I had to give him that.
I want the hand motion, the body going in it. The full experience.
I think we should get a spotlight performance.
I think I had the hand movements before Drake, so forget all that nonsense y'all be hearing.
We should get a spotlight.
How
about a spotlight performance?
Yeah. Where does Busta land, guys?
I'd love to. Huh?
Oh, Busta.
Where's Busta land?
As a performer, he is one of the greatest.
Way up there.
As an MC, 10. Severely underrated. As an overall MC, I'd put him in the top 20.
Yeah,
he's dope. I just think he had a lot of misses.
But I give him props for that because he's never been okay with just like not challenging the status quo. Like,
and here's Busta, my thing: how you stretching yourself or growing if you don't do something different. The reason why Busta's so great is when he hits us with that one specific way of hitting it, right?
Yeah.
Just because he's trying to do it a different way, I think it's.
My wife needs to stop before something happens.
Spot, hey, yo, I see Spot.
What'd she say?
Let's just give a sneak peek.
Sneak peek.
And I agree with Bruce.
Right, you can say no to me, bro. You can say no to him. You kind of could say no to him. You cannot say no to her.
I'll be killing them. I'll be killing them.
Come on, man. Stand up. Take the shirt off.
I'm going to bring a little something for next week. How about that? I'm going to stay on the YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube, you won't
go
get
back
this.
to the topic.
Yeah, go ahead, Buster.
Yo, shout out to everybody. Much love. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for all the
Thank
support.
you guys.
This was a lot of
See ya
fun.
next week.
Peace.